Alberta and Ontario partner up
Prime Minister Carney is no Justin Trudeau.
to explore new energy corridors and more trade while banking on Ottawa to get things going. Turning up the volume.
I don't mind festivals being here. What I mind is it being that loud all the way till 2 a.m.
Why Stampede Week means little sleep for some. And Henry's Hot Wheel toy drive for others on his 4th birthday is a massive success.
CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Camilla Di Giuseppe.
Good evening. Alberta and Ontario are teaming up to study energy corridors between the two provinces. After the premiers flipped pancakes this morning, they signed deals to reduce trade barriers and promote a pipeline. But it comes as a report says cutting red tape across Canada will do little to help the economy. Jordan Canagan explains.
After a morning of serving up Stampede pancakes, the premiers of Alberta and Ontario cooked up trade deals that could see a new pipeline and rail routes between provinces. Danielle Smith and Doug Ford signing memorandums of understanding to see more Ontario-built cars in Alberta and more Alberta alcohol in Ontario. And the two pledging to promote energy projects across the country.
Prime Minister Carney is no Justin Trudeau. He's a business mind. He's run massive multi-billion-dollar businesses, and he's bringing the business approach to the federal government that hasn't had that approach in the last 10 years.
Government officials will now study pipeline and rail routes that could bring energy products to ports in Ontario. They'll also continue to push the feds to foster a better environment for the private sector to invest.
There'll be a moment where the rubber hits the road. Like, you can only talk the talk for so long before you start putting some real action around it.
It comes as Canada and most countries continue to face American tariffs.
I love the U.S. I love the American people. But there's one person that's causing a problem right now, and that's President Trump.
But as Canada races to remove interprovincial trade barriers, a left-leaning think tank calls the actions political theater. A report from the Canadian Centre for Policy Alternatives says roadblocks between provinces are minimal already, and rushing to remove regulations could have negative effects.
What we're seeing right now is that the Trump threat to Canada's economy is being used to force through an agenda that has been long on the minds of certain Canadian businesses. It's an agenda of deregulation.
Jordan Canigan, CTV News, Calgary.
And during one of the Prime Minister's Calgary Stampede-related events this weekend, Carney said it's likely a new oil pipeline to BC will be on Ottawa's list of mega projects in the national interest. Calgary's mayor also met with the PM and touted our city as a key part of Canada's economic future.
There's always opportunity in a place like Calgary if we are going to be spending more nationally on defense. I think if we look at projects like Prairie Economic Gateway, where we want to ramp up industrial and manufacturing opportunities, this is the place to do it.
Mayor Gondek emphasized the need to recognize both conventional and green energy sectors as national assets. The mayor is also seeking a federal partnership on the Prairie Economic Gateway. The project would see a massive manufacturing and warehouse district built just outside Southeast Calgary city limits that would be served by rail. The Stampede is roaring across the city for another 6 days, and for those on the west side of downtown, sleep is being lost to a new and very loud party scene. Tyler Barrow explains.
This has been the bedtime music for Brian Owens, who lives across the street from the Cowboys tent at Cowboys Park. He shot this video at 12:30 a.m. on Saturday.
I don't mind festivals being here. What I mind is it being that loud all the way till 2 a.m.
His family lives on 11th Street Southwest. He filed a noise complaint on Friday with 311, but he is preparing for a long few days and nights.
You know, especially on a weeknight, when most of us that live here in this building have to work the next day.
Normally, quiet hours in the city start at 10 p.m., but the festival tent has been granted noise exemption, allowing it to play music at 85 decibels until 1:30 a.m., meaning the music can be as loud as heavy traffic or a lawnmower. After that, it must be reduced to 60 decibels, the equivalent of the buzz of an office or restaurant, and completely shut off by 2 a.m. So far, the city of Calgary has received 16 noise complaints related to the Cowboys tent. Bylaw officers have been actively monitoring the site, and to date, no infractions have been recorded. The area's councillor has been there every day.
You'll hear the noise intensity certainly loud in the center, but as you walk away from the area, the noise levels are around 70 to 80 decibel, which is within city limits. We need to recognize that we are during 10 days of Stampede. It is a festival.
CTV News did make multiple attempts to speak with the organizers for the Cowboys Music Festival. We did not hear back by our deadline. While some people are annoyed by the noise, others are dealing with the trash the 10-day party leaves behind. This was a scene in Earlton on Saturday and Sunday as garbage was littered throughout the area. Tyler Barrow, CTV News, Calgary.
The Calgary Stampede is a home away from home for dozens of rodeo athletes hailing from Texas, where catastrophic flooding has killed more than 100 people, including children, in the Lone Star State. This time-lapse shows how quickly the crisis developed. The Llano River went from normal flow to completely submerging a causeway in just minutes. An estimated 4 months worth of rain, about 30 centimeters, fell on Friday, the U.S. Independence Day holiday, followed by flash flooding. Among the dead, 27 children and their counselors from a Christian summer camp. As of tonight, 10 campers and 1 counselor are still missing, among dozens of others. The search for survivors continues even as more rain in the forecast is coming this week. Now, more than 60 athletes competing in the Stampede Rodeo are from Texas. As Glenn Campbell reports, they're keeping a close eye on what's going on back home.
Ty Harris is on fuego! Ty Harris got off to a great start in tie-down roping. He had the best time of the day. As nice as it was to win, Harris couldn't help but think of what's going on back home in Texas. He's from San Angelo, which wasn't the hardest hit, but has some flooding.
I'm obviously really thankful that my family is safe, from everything, but that hits home. There's rodeo families that have been affected by it, and different people in Texas that have been affected by it.
Harris earned $7,000 for his work on Monday, and he'd like to do something to help the victims.
I always tithe 10% of what I win, whether it's 10% of what I win to I don't know if there's going to be a foundation or a GoFundMe or a Reese. I really don't know what's going on yet, but it was on my mind coming up here.
Ty's brother Joel is also competing in tie-down roping. He says there's been some damage in San Angelo, but not nearly as badly hit as some other areas. He says it's been tough watching what's going on back home.
It just affects you emotionally, and you realize that it's not, this isn't the most important thing, coming out here and competing. As important as we do make it, as fun as it is, it really puts into perspective that people are going through a really hard time, and we have friends that have had flooding in their house, and I know that a lot of lives have been lost.
63 athletes from Texas are competing in this year's Stampede Rodeo. It's a close-knit community, and they're always there to support each other and people in the affected area. Breakaway roper Jordan Joe Hollabaugh lives in Fort Worth, Texas.
Rodeo is one of the few sports that it doesn't matter if you're blood or not. When something goes on in the rodeo family, we're all hands on deck trying to help and be supportive and where we can.
Glenn Campbell, CTV Sports, Calgary.
The U.S. National Weather Service says its flood warnings were timely and accurate, but questions remain about alerts reaching those most at risk. President Trump will visit Texas on Friday. Danielle is in with our first look at the weather, and we have a hot one on the way.
Yep, it's summer heat for us. It will be the one hot one, but then things will cool down after tomorrow. So let's focus on the heat, focus on the sunshine. 18 at 8 a.m., building up to at least 30 in the afternoon. It will likely feel closer to 32 with that humidity. The winds will pick up later in the day. That will maybe give you a little bit of relief from the heat. More details on that longer range forecast coming up.
Thank you, Danielle. Calgary-based WestJet Airlines rolled out its winter schedule, adding 5 new destinations for sun seekers, none of them in the U.S. The new schedule adds Panama City, Panama, Guadalajara and Tepic in Mexico, Havana, Cuba, and Managua, Nicaragua to the company's list of destinations. The airline has also bumped up its Mexico City service to a year-round schedule. It's also adding 7 new routes, including direct flights from Calgary to both Cozumel, Mexico, and Puerto Plata in the Dominican Republic. The new Latin American and Caribbean offerings come at the same time travel to the U.S. has fallen sharply this year.
We have seen some decline in demand to the U.S., and as a result, we've redeployed some of our capacity into domestic markets across the Atlantic and into Latin Caribbean destinations. We've seen that demand situation stabilize, but it's hard to say how it's going to develop going forward. But we have a lot of confidence in the destinations that we're offering today.
Stats Canada reports air travel to the States has declined steadily through 2025, falling by almost 25% in May. A young Calgary boy is celebrating his 4th birthday today, helping other kids at the Children's Hospital. Henry is a frequent visitor to the hospital. He has been there for dialysis, a kidney transplant, and weekly blood work. He noticed the hospital was running out of Hot Wheels. CJ92 got involved and held a Stuff the Studio drive and filled every bare space of their radio booth with donated toy cars. They collected more than 20,000. Today, the first delivery was made at the Children's Hospital loading dock. Henry's family can't believe the generosity of the community.
Henry and I decided that we would get some donations, and Henry was hoping for 11 cars. I thought maybe 100, but here we are with the help of CJ92 with over 20,000 cars.
I think one of the coolest things about this, honestly, is we're just the hands and the voice of it. The generosity of our rockaholics and Calgarians really showed up today.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Calgary. We couldn't have completed Henry's Hot Wheel toy drive without your support.
The Children's Hospital can't take all 20,000 cars at once, so 3,500 were delivered today. AMJ Campbell is providing storage for the remaining cars and will deliver them to the hospital as needed. Just ahead, a Calgary man found guilty of first-degree murder, and this is not the first time Christopher Dunlop has been convicted of killing a woman.
You're watching CTV News, Calgary.
The body of a 16-year-old girl was found in an abandoned vehicle, and police are treating it as suspicious death. The discovery was made Friday just west of the village of Glenwood. That's about an hour southwest of Lethbridge. The RCMP Major Crimes Unit is now investigating. Police say an autopsy will be performed, but are not releasing any further details. A Calgary man was convicted today of first-degree murder in the death of Judy Mars. This is the second time Christopher Dunlop has been convicted of killing a woman. The first was 16 years ago. Tyson Fedor reports.
These were some of the last moments of Judy Mars's life on February 15th, 2023. She's seen on CCTV leaving her apartment. She boards a bus and could be seen getting off around 10:30 p.m. near Forest Lawn. But ultimately, in the early morning hours of the next day, she was stabbed 79 times and her body was burned in Deerfoot Athletic Park.
And I hope the decision today can bring some measure of comfort and closure.
Christopher Dunlop will spend life behind bars as Justice Colin Feasby found him guilty of first-degree murder as well as indignity to a human body. Feasby stated between CCTV images and cell phone evidence the conclusion that Mr. Dunlop killed Miss Mars was inescapable.
It was a very comprehensive decision in which he considered all the evidence that was heard in this very complex and tragic case.
Mars worked in Calgary's sex trade. In 2009, Dunlop was convicted of manslaughter in the death of another sex worker, Laura Furlan, who was strangled. He served his sentence and was released in 2022. Her mother was in court for the verdict, as were Mars's loved ones. Dunlop was married when he killed Mars, and in CCTV footage played in court, he is seen driving his orange pickup truck to the Peter Lougheed Center before exchanging it for his wife's RAV4 SUV. The judge called that a conscious and calculated choice. Dunlop also left his phone at home that evening to avoid being tracked. He set Mars's butchered body ablaze, as seen in this surveillance video. Police also found a drop of Dunlop's blood in the snow just meters away from Mars's body. Justice Feasby said that placed him at the scene of the crime. The defense asked sentencing be delayed, but it doesn't change much. A first-degree murder conviction comes with an automatic life sentence.
A sentence of life imprisonment with parole and eligibility for 25 years. That's what we'll be asking for.
Tyson Fedor, CTV News, Calgary.
Dunlop will be sentenced July 28th. Calgary police need more witnesses to come forward after a deadly crash on Stony Trail last week. On June 29th, a man lost control of his SUV near the Bow Trail interchange. The SUV crossed the median into oncoming traffic and hit another SUV. The 25-year-old man died at the scene. A woman driving the other vehicle suffered life-threatening injuries. Police are looking to speak to anyone who witnessed the crash, but say the drivers of two SUVs, one light-colored, the other dark, may have key information in the case. Well, Danielle's up next with her Skywatch forecast, and we do have one very hot day on the way. What comes after that, she'll explain. That's next.
Okay, just like the Goldilocks nursery rhyme for today, not too hot, not too cold, right where we should be. But we are looking at some heat really starting to build into southern Alberta, including Calgary, for tomorrow. We'll get into the 30s. 24 was the high in Calgary today, and Edmonton. Really in the west, similar idea. One of the hot spots today, Toronto at 29 and Halifax at 30. Radar and satellite, well, we have the ridge of high pressure in place. That's why we have lots of sunshine, stability. Temperatures are able to heat up under this ridge. The jet stream way up here on the edge of the ridge, and that's redirecting the clouds and the moisture up and around us for now. But this is going to start to this pattern will start to slowly change as the jet stream moves down. So by Wednesday, the game will change, starting in Calgary, and then by Thursday, we'll notice a difference here in the further south. So let's start off with this. Heat warning in place just to the east of Calgary. So Strathmore down through Vulcan, Champion, over to Brooks, Medicine Hat, Many Berries, Foremost. These areas are looking at hot days and warm nights for the next 2 days. So that meets the warning criteria. Calgary, because we're looking at that jet stream tracking down, we're looking at one hot day. That's tomorrow, where we'll get into the 30s. So here's that pattern. Ridge of high pressure right now. It will be even hotter tomorrow because of that as it strengthens. But then that trough starts to move down. The jet stream moves down Wednesday. So that's going to open us up to some cloud cover moving in, potentially some showers as well. And then we'll see that on Thursday as well. On Thursday, all of southern Alberta will certainly cool down. Okay, futurecast. Here we go. Tomorrow, lots of sunshine, Calgary and south throughout the day. And then by Wednesday, this is a shot of Wednesday. You can see those clouds starting to creep in as the jet stream tracks down. We're also looking at isolated little pockets of showers on Wednesday. It shouldn't be anything significant. And then we'll get some rainfall again on Thursday. And then we'll bounce back up as another ridge moves in after Thursday. So tomorrow, yes, some heat. 30 degrees. It will likely feel more like 32 with the humidity. Later in the afternoon, the winds will start to pick up, gusting up to 40 kilometers per hour, but that will likely give you some relief from the heat if you're outside. 23 degrees on Wednesday, isolated showers, and then showers possible at times on Thursday as well, which is a high of 18. So we certainly cool down by then. By Friday, you're looking at the sun returning, a ridge of high pressure building in, mid-20s for Friday, and then high 20s to kick off the weekend.
Danielle, thanks so much. Competing cousins at the Rangeland Derby, neck and neck in the race for the fastest heat on night 4 at GMC Stadium. Next.
There's a horn and they're off, and it's a quick start for Rick Prado Jr. and Chance Vegan from the outside, and Jamie Labican matching strides to the inside.
Night number 4 at the Rangeland Derby down at Stampede Park, and we take you to the final heat of the night. Cousins Ray Croteau Jr. and aggregate leader Chance Vegan neck and neck with Jamie Labican in third, and it would be Grand Prairie's Chance Vegan and his team roaring through the finish line with the fastest time of the night at 1:11:39. A whole new group of competitors took to the infield today at the Stampede Rodeo, with just 3 from each pool advancing to Championship Sunday. Highlights from day 4, we'll start with the bareback, and that is Cooper Cook of Victor, Idaho, who is on Zastron Acres. And what a ride. They combined for 88 points. That would be the best of the day in bareback. We have some great times posted today in ladies barrel racing, with the best on day 4 turned in by Megan Megan McLeod-Sprague of Marsing, Idaho. She masters those barrels in a time of 17.11 seconds, a first-place finish, and a $7,000 check. Next, tie down roping. First cowboy out was Ty Harris of San Angelo, Texas. He finished first in his pool with a lightning fast time of 6.7 seconds. And then we head over to steer wrestling. And only one cowboy was under 4 seconds, Cody Devers of Perryton, Texas. He gets that steer down in 3 seconds flat and walks away with $7,000. Moving on to Saddle Bronc, this is Damien Brendan from Australia. He's on Mary Fane, a fantastic ride worth 91 points. That was the best of the day. Big Valley's Zeke Thurston came in with a score of 90.5. It was a tough day for the breakaway ropers, lots of penalties and no times out there, but that wasn't the case with Maddie Dearman of Hope, New Mexico. She had a great time of 2.7, and that was the best of the day. Now to the big bad bulls, and a fantastic day for the Cowboys. Grady Young's dad, Blade, rode bulls, and the 19-year-old is following in his footsteps. He scored 91 points on Splash Tide today, topping all of the bull riders. A couple in Edmonton has just finished building a one-of-a-kind miniature model with several difficult yet delicious details. Connor Hogg reports.
We need some popcorn, don't we? Matt Intihar and Sheila Guevara are spending some quality time relaxing together. The couple often spends their time in a more unique way by making gingerbread houses.
Both of us inspired each other in doing a project because he's good at what I am not.
The pair was in a local bake shop when they saw a gingerbread castle built by the baker.
We thought, geez, that would be pretty neat if we could build something like that. I don't know if we're up to it, but we could give it a try.
Their first house was simple, so they decided to go bigger. At first, they planned to build a replica of the White House. They ultimately selected the Alberta legislature as their subject. Close to home and easier to research in person.
As time went on, we thought, hey, we can do this or we could add that on, and so slowly it became a bit more detailed as time went on.
Intihar and Guevara worked on their ginger ledge together and separately when their shift work schedules didn't allow for time together.
He come home, I'm sleeping, or I come home, he's sleeping. But I see, when I come home, I see something that he did. I'm like, oh, cool, I can do this.
After 6 months of gingerbread and marzipan, plus painstaking research, baking, sculpting, and resculpting, this is the result.
We managed to finish it, and we're pretty happy with how it looks. I mean, like I say, we're not professional bakers or anything.
I could have not done it by myself.
The happy couple are in the process of finding a place to display their work and also sharing what they learned about each other in the process.
He sits right there and he's just doing this little thing and little thing. It's kind of, looking at him, it's very heartwarming, and he's very graceful doing that, and it makes me push myself harder too.
I guess this kind of thing could pull people apart. Maybe they'd get fed up with each other, but I think for us it did. I think it did bring us together.
Yeah.
Two people who have found extra sweetness in their lives together. Connor Hogg, CTV News, Edmonton.
That's impressive. All right, that's it for us here at CTV News. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.